Hello guys! Welcome back to our class in Statics of Rigid Bodies, and we have finally concluded our second module, which was about force vectors, and let us now proceed to another chapter, which is we will talk about force system resultants. And specifically for this lesson, we will talk about the moment of a force. And probably some of you are familiar with the word moment, especially because that term is usually used in dili good relationship.
Sir. Naunsa di ay ka?
Wala raman, nag-moment raman ko. That's not what the moment we are talking about in this lesson. Okay? And let us, our main objective of this lesson is that we will know the principle of moment, what is moment, and we also know how to solve for the moment of a force, and ingana lang. Okay? And I hope that you will understand our lesson this morning. Okay? We all knew before that when a force is applied to a body, for example, this one, if we are going to apply a force in this body, it will move. Okay? But however, in some cases also, there is also a tendency for this body to what? To rotate. Okay? So, ang atong body, in that case, ni-move siya, and at the same time, it rotates. Okay, and
Take this as an example. So I want to unscrew this bolt right here. And I cannot do it if I'm only using my hand. So what's the best thing to do is to have a probably a wrench or a screwdriver. So we need like this one. So, and for us to be able to turn this one, probably we will put our hand on the pinakalayo nga part sa aning atong si tawag ani basta mao na para matuyok na nato. But we cannot tuyok this one because this is bigger, the slot is bigger than the bolt we have here.
you are familiar with that one, right? And you have to apply a force in order to turn that object, right? That wrench. And that turning effect that you are applying to that object is what you call the moment of a force, or basically, it is the moment. Okay? So, therefore, kung gituyok nimo ang butang, then dira nimo makit-an nga nag-apply ka og moment ana nga object. Okay? So, kung gipatuyok-tuyok ka, mag-moment jud ka.
Ikot-ikot lang, ikot-ikot-ikot lang, ikot-ikot lang, ikot-ikot-ikot.
The magnitude of a moment can be determined by the force that is applied to that body and also to the perpendicular distance from the force applied to a specific point nga diha siya mag-turn. And that is what you call the moment arm. So say for example, you have this wrench. And kani siya nga wrench, muragit butang ay kuan nga bolt. Okay? And, di ba, in order for us to turn this bolt, unsay dapat nato buhaton, we have to apply a force at this direction. Right? Again, your moment can be determined through the formula force times distance. And we all knew that your F is just basically the applied force. And now, what is your D? Actually, your D is the perpendicular distance from the force to the point where the moment is created. Okay? And in this case, this is your moment axis. And this is the direction of your force. Okay? Muna yung direction sa imong force, and this is your moment axis. Ako'y kuan kay para maklaro. And also take note, nganong axis akong gisuwat, di ba? Kung huna-huna mong axis kay murag x and y axis. Right? Sige, let's imagine it this way. This is your x-axis. This is your y-axis. And your z-axis is actually going towards the lens of the camera. So, ang z-axis, morning z-axis. And your moment axis is actually, in this case, your z-axis. So, take note of that. Axis ni siya, di ni siya point, but axis. Okay? And now, asa man ang perpendicular distance dire? Again, this is the direction of your force, and this is your moment axis. So, kung moingon kag perpendicular distance, you have to create a line nga dapat inig touch niya dira sa atong direction sa force, dapat perpendicular siya. So, question. Is this perpendicular? No, this is not perpendicular. Is this perpendicular? No, this is not perpendicular. So, asa may dapat ang perpendicular axis? Then, of course, it should be along that direction. Okay, and that is your perpendicular axis. Take note again that your D is this one. The distance of the point kung asa siya nagperpendicular sa direction sa imong force padong dito sa moment axis. That is your perpendicular distance. This is not your perpendicular distance. This is not your perpendicular distance, but this one. Okay? Moment arm. Okay? Let's go back to our equation. So you already knew F. Basically, that is the force applied. And you know your D. This is the moment arm or the perpendicular distance from your force to the moment axis. Sige, ato i-evaluate ang atong formula. When can we say nga mas dako ang atong moment? Our moment, pwede mo dako ang atong moment if dako ang atong force nga i-apply. Or, dako ang atong moment kung taas ang atong moment arm. Okay? So, sige, balik ta ani nga situation. Can you imagine yourself if you are going to turn this bolt? Unya, diri ka magbutang og force, di ba? Sayon ra nimo pagtuyok. Di ba? Kung diri nimo ibutang ang force. However, kung diri ka mag-apply sa imong force and the same magnitude sa imong F diri, what will happen? Can you still easily turn this one kung diri ka mag-apply sa imong force? Compared sa pag-apply nimo sa force diri? No. It will be gahier. It will be harder for you to turn this one compared than turning this one at this point. Okay? Because we have this equation. Kung dako ang imong perpendicular distance, then mas dako ang imong moment. Kung gamay ang imong perpendicular distance, then gamay po imong moment. Therefore, mas lisod siya tuyok. Okay? So, kung mas dool ka, mas lisod ka, ipatuyok.
Ikot-ikot lang, ikot-ikot-ikot lang. Ikot-ikot lang, ikot-ikot-ikot.
Does it make sense? Understood? The same principle also, kung gamay ang imong force nga i-apply aning dire, lisod pud siya ituyok. Samot na siguro jud kung gamay ang imong apply pud nga force dire, samot na di na jud na siguro mo tuyok. Okay? But question. Sir, how about dira na ko siya gibutangan og force? Kung diri na to gibutangan og force, what will happen? Wala na ta nag-create og moment. Therefore, atong moment ani is 0. Ano man? Kaya in this case, mura na kag nag-push sa imong bolt. And inig tanaw nimo ana, inig butang nimo force ana, di ba mura na kag nag-push sa bolt. You are not creating a turning effect aning atong bolt, but you are just only pushing. Therefore, this one creates a zero moment. So when the force goes along to the moment axis, magtagbo ang imong force ug ang imong moment axis, then you can immediately say that the moment that is created by that force is zero. Okay? Another instance. How about, sige, ato i-change ang direction sa to force. Okay? So, di ba, ang atong una na hibawan kay katong padong ingani nga direction. So, how about, sir, kung instead of anang a direction, what if inganang direction sa atong force nga gi-apply? Asay mas dako og moment if kani nga force or kani nga force with the same magnitude. Okay? They act on the same point. Kanilang isa kay naka-angle, kaning isa kay naka-perpendicular. Balik ta sa equation. F times D. The F, ang imong F dere is equal ang magnitude. How about your D? Equal ba ang magnitude? Kay parehas naman sila og distance, di ba? But unsa ra gani ang atong D? This is your perpendicular distance or your moment arm. And take note from the word perpendicular distance, so dapat perpendicular siya. Question. Is this perpendicular with this line? Is that perpendicular? No, that's not perpendicular. Pero ang kaning imong F, perpendicular distance na siya. But your F nga naka-incline, that is not perpendicular. So, what you have to do is to determine the point kung asa na nag-perpendicular ang duha. Asa man nga point? Ito i-diretso. Oh. Nya, maghimo tag, line po diri nga dapat perpendicular. Di siya perfect nga straight line, but let's just say that at this point, dira siya nag-perpendicular distance ang F. And this one here is your moment arm of this force. But on the other hand, this one here is the moment arm of your force, this one, the red one. So therefore, asay mas dako og moment ani nilang duha. Pareha sila og magnitude sa F, sa D sila ang naglahi. And probably makasulti ta nga, the higher the moment arm, the greater the moment. So which one of these two has a higher moment arm? We can say that this one has a higher moment arm. Therefore, this force can create a larger moment than this force. Kung naa kay nga nga force, mamoblema pa ka og solve sa asa na sila mag-perpendicular. And then, pangitaon man po na nimo nga angle. Kung ingani nga case. Okay, take note. Another question. Sir, how about if we are going to apply the force at this direction? Same magnitude. What will happen? Force times distance. We have a force of F. How about your D in this time? Sige, ato subayon ang direction sa atong F. Mao ni ang direction sa atong F. And as you can see, ang direction sa atong F, nagtagbo siya sa moment axis. And, unsa gani pasabot ana? Kung ato na siya tanan og distance, ang distance na niya is 0. Okay? Nagtagbo man ang atong direction sa force sa moment axis. So, 0 ang atong moment arm. Therefore, applying this equation, our moment still has a zero value. Kung, again, the direction of your force goes with the point of or the moment axis. Understood? Now, what is the unit of moments? Klaro naman siguro kaayo oy from the equation that we have here, force times distance unsa may unit sa imong force. Your unit of force is probably newtons or pounds. Times, what is the unit of your distance? This is in meters atong English, ang sa isa, feet. Ingani lang ang atong formula sa moment. Newton, meter, or pound, foot. This one is in SI, and this one is in English. Understood? Okay. Sige, di na ta magstorya og kaning wrench. Dili na ta magbutang og drawing. Sa kanang drawing nga wrench. Ngaton lang i-focus kay ang force ug ang moment axis. Question. When can a moment be positive? Okay, take note. You should consider the direction of the moment. It is important to know unsay direction sa imong moment because, again, moments are vector quantities. They can be fully defined with their direction. Okay? So, unsaan man na nato pag kung nagkuanta sa x, mayon tag positive ang right, negative ang left, positive ang pababaw, negative ang paubos. Pero how about sa atong moment? Di ba it can create a turning effect? So, unsa man ang direction sa mag-turn? It can either be clockwise or counterclockwise. So, kanus aman ta makahibaw kung clockwise ba ang direction sa atong moment or counterclockwise. Balik ta, diri ta. So, this is your moment axis. And this is your force. So, let's say, ang direction nga counterclockwise is positive. Okay? The direction of your counterclockwise is positive. So, unsa may direction ani nga force? Is this positive or negative? Kung mao ni atong given. Unsa man ato pag-imagine? Tanong tan-awon. Oh. Sige, para mas klaro na to, imagine na ako'y pen karon, maukuntay niya ang atong moment axis. Unya, ang isa po nako nga pen, mao ni ang akong force nga i-apply. Sige. So, ako gibutang ang kaning axis nato dire sa moment axis and then ang force dira sa kanang nga force. So, mao ni reaction sa to force and then as you can see, padong siya sa babaw. So, ato ibutang ato i-push atong kamot pababaw. And what will unsa nga direction ang ma-create sa atong moment? This is counterclockwise. So, this is a positive moment in this case. Okay? Yung ana lang. So, kung maglibog mo, imagine nga, unsa man positive ni, negative. So, magbutang kag ballpen dire, and then imong pen po dire, and then imo i-follow ang direction sa force. Kung asa siya mo toyok, ay mao na ang direction sa imong force. Pero sa ani lang nga case ako gi-assume nga positive ang direction sa atong counterclockwise. And usually mao na ang atong standard nga positive nga direction by using our right hand rule. Hanapod tayo right hand rule, maging ana na pod ko. So, your thumb now is your moment axis. So, your moment axis is positive kung pababaw. Okay? And the direction of the curl of your fingers, your four fingers, is the positive direction of your moment. Okay? So, mao na siya dira. Generally, positive ang atong moment kung ni-rotate siya counterclockwise. On the other hand, if it rotates clockwise, then your moment is negative. How about kani? Sige daw, kani. Unsa man ni siya nga moment? Is this positive or negative? This is Sige na, ato isubay sa direction sa atong kuan. Sa mga direction, is this clockwise or counterclockwise? That is still counterclockwise. So, positive gyapon ang atong moment. So, take note, tanaw ang direction dire. Your direction sa imong force sa atong right is going up and the direction of the force sa atong left is going down. Pero, they are still positive nga moments. Why? Because it depends on the location sa atong force. So, ang kanina, locate man sa pika side sa atong point, then, iyang tuyok counterclockwise gihapon. Okay? On the other hand, kung nakay force nga paingani, and then, imo gyapon ni kuan, mo i-apply ang moment, will happen to the direction. This will be a negative nga moment. Negative. And same pod sa pikas, kung padung dira ang direction sa imong moment, then that will be negative as well, since clockwise man ang direction ana. Understood? How about we have multiple forces? How are we going to sum the moments of multiple forces? For example, I have this moment axis, I have this force, I have this force, and I have this force. So let's call this one F1, this one F2, and this one F3. So how are you going to sum the moments of these three forces? Very easy. Pangitaon ni mong moment sa kada isa. So F1 na siya moment ngay ana, F2 asang perpendicular ani kana siguro, nya F3 kana siguro. So this is your perpendicular, perpendicular, and perpendicular. And these are your D1. This is your D2. And this is your D3. So, F1 times D1, that is your moment 1. F2 times D2, that is your moment 2. And then, sa kaning atong F3 ug D3, this is your M3 is equal to F3 times D3. And take note, we have to consider the directions. This is, what is the direction of this one? This is counterclockwise, CCW. This is clockwise, CW. And this one is still counterclockwise. And let's say that the positive nga moment is directed counterclockwise. So, mao na. So, the question is, how are you going to sum this moment? All you have to do is to, so, MR, O, say pasabot ana, this is your resultant moment about point O, mo na atong point O. Kani nga point, ang atong moment axis, mo na atong point O. Resultant moment of point O is equal to M1. Assuming assuming that our clockwise direction is positive. M1, positive, kay counterclockwise, plus M2 is your M2 positive, your M2 is clockwise, so therefore minus M2 plus M3 is counterclockwise, therefore positive po na siya, M3. Or, basically, you can just express this one as F1 D1 minus F2 D2 plus F3 D3. So that is how you sum the moments of multiple forces. Or basically, this is just equal to the summation of moments at point O. You are just summing the moments at point O. Understood? Let's have two basic examples. Karon single moment lang sa single force lang sa ta. A very easy example. The problem is we have to determine the moment of this 40 pounds about point O. Again, the moment of this 40 pounds about point O. Wala ito pangita. So, what are we going to do? Unsay requirements atong moment? Your force and your perpendicular distance. To get your perpendicular distance, you have to find the perpendicular distance. And unsay ato kailangan ana? The direction of the force. This is the direction of your force. And para ma-perpendicular siya about point O, obviously it should go this way. So, therefore, this should be your perpendicular distance. But the question is, how can you determine this perpendicular distance? We know that this distance here is 4, but we don't know the distance here. And all we have to do is just to apply your trigonometric functions. Kaya nga naman, tanaw ta dira sa triangle, manimong triangle. Diba? Nya, nangita ta aning x kontahay ni para atong d is equal to 4 plus x. So, mo ni atong x. Ay, may x. And naatay 2 feet. And this is 30 degrees. And you are given 30 degrees and 2 feet. You have an unknown x. So, unsa may gamit to nimo nga trigonometric function ana? This is adjacent over hypotenuse, that is cosine. So, x is equal to 2 cosine 30 degrees. Kung naglibog mo ana nganong naingana na, kay di ba cosine 30 degrees is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Imo lang gibalhin ang 2, then 2 cosine 30. That is just basically 4 plus 2 cosine 30. And your D is 5.732 feet. This is not yet your final answer because we are looking for the moment. So therefore, your moment at point O, assuming that the positive direction, instead of having it counterclockwise as your positive, at resulting nga ang clockwise ang imong positive, then unsa may iyang isulti? This one is going there. So, what will happen? Ano imong point of moment? Imong point of moment, and then na imong force, and then padung siya ubos. Therefore, it creates a clockwise nga direction. So, positive ni siya. So, 40 pounds times your perpendicular distance of 5.732 feet. And therefore, your moment about point O is 229.28 pound foot. Scalar pa ni siya, hindi pa ni siya vector, kay wala pa tayo direction, so your direction is clockwise. Or, pwede po na imo isulti nga, ana nga direction. Okay? So, take note, to make this one a vector, you should specify the direction. To specify its direction, just say clockwise nga paing ana. Or, how about kung ako gi-assume diri kay positive ang counterclockwise? The answer here will be negative. Nya, isulti nimo nga counterclockwise, CCW, negative. Pero, let's just say nga tanan natong answers should be positive para sa moment, then ato i-erase and then i-change na ang direction into clockwise. Since negative man siya sa counterclockwise, para mo positive siya, i-change siya to other direction. Okay? So, ingana lang. Understood? Let's have another easy example. How about this one? So this example, we have here a force of 60 pounds. And we have a moment that is created about point O. So still the same problem, we have to determine the moment of the force 60 pounds about point O. Okay. Sige. So ganito atong kailangan nga formula, M is equal to F times D. Your F is, of course, this is 60 pounds. And how about your D? Actually, pwede na mo dili maghimo-himoan ng line, pero para makasabot mo sa itong topic, I still make these lines. But probably later on, we will say goodbye to this guide nga line nga atong ihimo. Kay bright naman ta, and then paspas naman tag critical thinking. Therefore, we don't have to do this again and again. But instead, we can just solve it by just looking at the figure. Okay? Sige. And again, this is your perpendicular distance. Diba? So, this is your force. Dira na-apply ang imong force. And your D is this one. Sakto? No, it's wrong. Why? This is not your D. This is not perpendicular distance. Kay, para ka makagamit ani nga D, your force should be directed pa ing ana. Para magamit nini mo nga D. Di ba? Kay mao man ni ang atong perpendicular distance if ing ana ang case. But it's not the case. The case is padung didto ang atong force and this is your tinuod nga perpendicular distance. The question is, how are you going to solve for this perpendicular distance? We have here the given, and still we know that this is your D, and we can just draw the triangle. This is your D, this is 45 degrees, and this is your 1. Ang 1, morning 1, ang D, morning D, which is just the same as your D here, and wala man nilabot sa itong computation. Okay? So, saan man na siya? To get our D, opposite over hypotenuse, that is sine. So, 1 sine of 45 degrees. And so, that is 0.707 feet. Wala pa tanong man because what we're looking is for the moment about point O. So your moment about point O, again, you should specify the direction. So let's say the direction positive is going counterclockwise. Okay? Moment at point O is equal to 60 pounds. Is this positive nga moment? This is positive nga moment. Kay bisag imo imagine nga naa siya dira. Pero siya dira. Pero pwede mo imagine nga naa diri nimo gi-apply ang 60 pounds. Diba? Kay same naman sila application. So dira nimo gi-apply ang 60 pounds, therefore it creates a counterclockwise direction. So positive 60 pounds times 0.707 foot. The answer here is 42.43 pound foot. So, imo isulti diri nga clockwise. Sayon lang kayo, no? Sige. How about we have multiple forces? Let's have another problem. And instead of having only one force, we will have multiple forces. Okay. For this example, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 forces. We have 4 forces acting on this rod. Okay? And what we are looking for is for the moment of these 4 forces, the resultant moment of these 4 forces about point O. Sige daw, mag-brenite na daw tabi, dili na ta magamit og mga line-line. Okay? Sige. Atong una buhaton, summation of moments at point O. Let's create a mag-assume ta og positive nga direction. Atong positive nga direction is going counterclockwise. Mao nang akong usual nga gamiton. Okay? Positive direction of counterclockwise nga moment, nagsamtag moment is equal to. In-exam na to sa moment, mo equal man siya sa atong resultant moment, MR, about point O. Diba? So, therefore, your MR about point O is equal to the resultant moment about point O is just the summation of moments about point O. Wala na ako pasabot nila. Okay? Sige. Ato unahon ang kani. Mao ni atong moment axis ha, this is point O. Kani, sa man nga direction. Positive na to, take note again, atong direction is counterclockwise atong positive. But this one goes in this direction. That is negative. So, negative 50 newtons times perpendicular distance, which is given 2 meters. Diba? So, yun lang. How about this one? We have, unsa man siya nga force. As you can see, this force goes along to the direction, to the moment axis. So, ato lang isulti siguro, plus 60 times 0. Okay, di ba? 60. Wala mo kay ba kung plus or minus, but it doesn't matter kay 0 man siya. So, 60 times 0 ang atong moment arm. Ako lang gi-appel kay para di mo maglibog. Third, this one. Kani ato third. How about this one? Is it positive or negative? Unsa man ni siya nga direction? Sige, ato daw ibutang ang 20 derive para perpendicular distance. And padung siya didto. Then it creates a counterclockwise, therefore, plus. Again, take note, this is counterclockwise because it goes this way. So, plus 20 newtons times, okay. Sige, unsa may perpendicular distance niya dere, di ba? Ang distance from here to here. Muna siya. Di na ta maghimog-himog line kay bright naman ta. Okay. So what is this? Opposite over hypotenuse. That is 3 sine of 30 degrees. Di ba? Because sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So 3 sine 30 degrees. And lastly, for your 40 Newton nga force, unsa man ni siya nga direction? This one is going that way. Unsa man na siya nga direction? That is clockwise. So therefore, minus 40 newtons times unsa man nga direction? Oh, basta naglibog mo. All you have to do is 4, di ba? This is 2, 2. This is 4. Plus this direction, this distance here. 4 plus, what is this distance? This is your x. So, adjacent over hypotenuse. That is 3 cosine of 30 degrees. So, therefore, your MRO, about point O, is just equal to negative 334 Newton meter. This is negative. Why? Because it is rotating counterclockwise. Okay? So to make it positive, then all we have to do is to 334 Newton meter clockwise. So, therefore, since negative man ang atong answer dere, it means that we are assuming that the positive direction is going counterclockwise, but we arrived on a negative answer. So therefore, we can say that your moment is rotating the other way around since negative man. So, we can just change the sign, we can change it positive, then change the direction. So kaganiha, clockwise man ni, but now, kibaw naman ta nga negative dahil siya, so ato gi positive and then change the direction, which is, this one is clockwise. Understood? So this one now is a vector because we have a direction. So that is just how moment works. Okay? That is so very easy, that is so very basic, and I hope that you have learned a lot in this lesson. So as a summary for this one, we have talked about moments, and I hope you know what are moments, and how to calculate moments, and how to sum multiple moments. Mao lang to ang atong moments. So understood, and I hope that you understood. If you have some questions in mind that you still are wondering, you may ask me sa private message or you can comment it down on the comment section below. Char, kaya ano may YouTube comment section below. We still have another lesson, and see you on our second lesson. Bye.